Hey everybody, how's it? Aloha, good morning. This is Geebz, your old composer here at the Decomposer Lounge. Pulling back the layer and dissecting the tracks that you suggest. I am back on a glide of prog rock, and I'm going to start it. Why not just get us into the weekend with Porcupine Tree, Russian on Ice? Russia on Ice. Forgive me. So yeah, Steven Wilson, right? And the kind of journey he's brought us on, both as a composer, songwriter, and also, you know, from what I have gathered from the few tracks that I've heard on this channel, Porcupine Tree, and stuff from his own personal project, he's kind of a master of the multiple level journey in his compositions, where I think this is going to represent something like that. This is 13 minutes long, so let's just get right to it. I'm probably going to let bigger chunks go by before I stop so I can glide within it and stuff. That gives me a better opportunity too to kind of sink in and rinse and get a little deeper into the listening process, so I hope you don't mind that. I want to thank you for your support as usual. You guys know how you can support me in the channel if you choose. And you know, it's a cup of coffee, I've got the shirts, you can go check out a Patreon. All the links are down below. Don't forget to sharing the video too is just as supportive, as well as please, if you think I may have done one of the other bands that you enjoy or other songs from, like, let's say Porcupine Tree, just go ahead and go to the front page and look at that little search icon thingy on my YouTube front page thing, and just type in your favorite song or band, and you never know if I haven't already done something that you have enjoyed, are still enjoying, part of the soundtrack of your life. All right, guys, let's do this. Russia on Ice by Porcupine Tree. All right.
I deserve this. You said I was stupid. All my thoughts are like calm. Russia on ice is burning a hole. I call, will you come and will you save me? I see the whole thing come down. I burn it to the ground. Well, what the hell did you say? You said you hate me this way. It's just a matter of time.
Okay, I think this is a fair place to stop real quick. I love the fact that I think I said that when I was coming into the video, is that he sets up this ethereal and this very ambient journey with the unique use and engineering of the instruments that he was using. It seemed to me like he opened up with two different kinds of Rhodes. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's an electric keyboard that actually, back in the 70s, anybody who's you know, from the 70s style music, there was a lot of Rhodes. So it's the name of a keyboard. But, you know, this is about composition and experience, you know, kind of the psychedelic kind of proggy experience, if you would. So there's two of them. One sounded like it was a little grittier and dirtier, and that was really hard right with a little bit of a reverb. Then there was another one on the left. Then he took his time in growing the arrangement by these long released pad sounds, very just long, you know, stringy sounds and stuff. Not stringy, but they just kind of fade away and just set that ambience and stuff. And then he brought in, when he got the drums in and he started to bring us into it, he kind of raised us up to a level and then brought us back down into where he starts to sing. What I love about what he's doing with his vocals is that he has his way of doing what he does, but there's this answer back between dun 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 dun, whatever that, I don't know the exact notes that the guitar is playing there, but he sings, that answers. He's got his melody and that answers. And that to me is building this kind of subconscious hook, you know, second level hook, you know, it could be a third level hook. I mean, I'm only 4.5 minutes into the track. Then of course he hits us in just completely this kind of glorious uplifting hook section, great background vocals, very rich, a lot of beautiful harmonies, you know, but it's the track in of itself is a very pulling, lifting kind of track for me in here, but I can't help because I don't have a really big catalog, if you would, of prog rock experience from the 70s. I do have to say it just does remind me of and lean into the Pink Floyd experience as well. But I believe that's what the prog rock experience has been based on anyhow, which is, okay, well, maybe you write one song on an album that's radio friendly, but the rest of it is this long journey. And you know, when you have such a great composer and arranger as Stephen and Mr. Wilson and all of his, you know, musicians and stuff that contribute, you can sit and completely glide and rinse and soak and just chill and let the brain take the journey, you know. And the subtleness of the vocals and his melody as well, it still injects, you know, obviously the meanings, if you would. Of course, we make our own meanings up with the lyrics, and I've only heard seemingly just a third of the song. It allows us to really or allows me to formulate my own story within this song, where I start thinking about things as it triggers, you know, theater of the mind, if you would. Okay, so let's go back a little bit and continue on.
It's just a matter of time. a drop in the ocean. A significant motion. Nothing melts in this cold. But Russia on ice is burning away.
I see the whole thing come down. I'll burn it to the ground. Well, what the hell did you say? You said you hate me this way. It's just a matter of time.
Okay, I got to stop there. First of all, what great sounding drums! The engineering on this is just so sparkling and so present, if you would. Not necessarily present because it's hotter in the mix. It's just a great sounding snare. I loved. You saw me how I was doing this. He starts to bring in the strings. He's lifting his arrangements, of course, as each minute goes by. They're getting a little more intense, a little more, packed, a little more counter-rhythmic, counter-arrangement, counter-melodic arrangements are going on. The strings sound fantastic. Now, of course, now we take this big shift. You saw me kind of go, whoo, when they hear the bass. I'm sitting there, okay, so I'm kicking on the bass, I'm gliding on it, and what great little bass nuances that are happening there. Whatever it is that's happening there, but I'm like, yes, thank you so much. Then he hits us in the head with that guitar tone, which now pulled me from what I was feeling, this kind of prog experience that kind of reminded me a little bit of, when I was younger, into more of a super present appeal to the ears, like what I'm learning on this channel, guitar tones and stuff like that. The one thing that I thought was going to happen was it was going to go into this halftime, but he did 4 on the floor, and then as he turns it around, still keeping the rhythm, still keeping the energy moving forward, he pulls back on that distorted guitar, and now it's not quite a funk element. There's a funk element in it, but it doesn't downshift it or change the gears into a funk track. But now he's spaced it open, and I'm struggling to hear what that other string instrument there. It's not a koto or something like that. It could be a baritone guitar, maybe a baritone acoustic guitar or something. I don't know, but very, very super cool patterns being held with that string plucking sound that I'm hearing on the side. So, well, it was great. And then, of course, just his hook. Once again, I just go back to, you see me kind of, go through my little. My bodily twitches when I hear just some of the most beautiful harmonies that I've heard on tracks have been his compositions with his vocals and how they resolve or modulate at the very end and then reset, kind of a thing. All right, let me go back a little bit here and let's finish this up. Yep, that totally feels like a Russia on ice, if you would. That I don't know if that led into another piece. It sounded like it may have, and you know, what I've learned is a lot of these powerful prog artists and bands and stuff. It's not a series, like they do cut and lead into songs. That whole powerful metal-y vibe to me had like kind of that like Trent Reznor kind of edge to it. The combination, the uses of the synths and stuff. He definitely doesn't shy away from using loops. And I'm not talking about loops that, when I say the word loop, most people think of drum loops and stuff like that. I'm talking about either soundscape or percussive loops. You know, it might be in the background going, you know, that kind of stuff that's going on there. Something he did in there that I just loved and was so unexpected, that's what I get for doing this too early in the morning, is there was a very low sub-bass synth that was boom, boom. But it was in the key of the song, so it was this, you know, whatever the root was, I don't know what key it was in, but that combination of that with the kick and the live, what made it so powerful. And if you were really joying out on this in a headset experience, that definitely is something that you feel in here, because it's almost it is subhuman bass wise. So bass players, you can't get that kind of tone and quality of these lower synthetic sounded bass, like boom, boom, you know. And his ability to combo and not be, you know, he's got the toolbox in front of him, and he's not you know, doing the purist thing. No, I use guitar keys and all that. No, give me what I need to tell the story and to take, you know, the listener on a particular journey, and I'm going to use it. And that's exactly what this was all about, and that's what I loved every bit about this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to listen to this a couple times later on today, only because it also, one of the things that I want to listen to again is his use of ambient pads. It was so important through this track. There was always something gliding in the back, always, except for that little funk section. But then something started creeping in towards the end of that funkier section. When I say the funk section, that's when the darker, heavier guitar power chords kind of dropped out for a second, and there was that, you know, and they got a little squared off. I was talking about that earlier. But then a pad starts to drift in, and that pad creates that ambience, you know, that ethereal kind of vibe. And it's such a unique thing that it does to the listening experience when you have that. As a matter of fact, there were a couple times where I said to myself, well, God, that one little melody that's going on in the back, he's using using a unique sound, a keyboard sound, but it kind of reminded me slightly of the Korn sound. You know, you know how they were fantastic at making those melodic notes or harmonics with their guitars, but the choice of notes and the intervals kind of went, oh man, he's definitely somebody that doesn't need to be pulling from any, you know, influences per se. We are all influenced by something, but this was great, and this was well worth, you know, the 13 and some odd minutes that it was. So thank you guys so much for the suggestion. Anyhow, have yourself a killer weekend. I'm gonna drop another one on Sunday for you. I have a very special Sunday drop that I have for you guys. And but outside of that, thank you so much for hanging out this week. Thank you again last week for my very first live. I think I'll go live again next week or something, but that was really fun. Thank you guys once again. If you do decide to support me either way, coffee, Patreon, shirts, sharing it, and whatever, you know, I'm always super grateful. All right, guys, take care of yourself. Have a killer weekend. Aloha. All right.